Hello and good morning to all of you, my dear students, my dear YouTube viewers, and my dear friends. So today I am going to discuss about the another topic regarding the thermodynamics. Okay, so this is a simple revision and simply some basic points I will discuss in this topic. Okay, so some basic idea we'll get about the thermodynamics. So without any delay, let's get started. Before I start, I will recommend you to subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you can get notified when the new videos come to in my channels. Okay. So why are we waiting for? Let's get started. So what is thermodynamics? So it is a branch of your chemistry which deals with the thermal system of thermal behavior of system with the surrounding. Okay, that means here is a terms are coming, that is system and another is surroundings. So what is a system? So the system is the system is the specific part of a universe which observation are made. So that part which are we take for our observation, we take for our study, that is known as system. And what is surrounding? Everything which surround the systems. Okay, so we can say uh, the everything except that system is known as your surrounding. Okay, so that is the basical idea about the system and the surrounding. The next one is type of system. So now we'll discuss about the types of systems. So there are different type of system, that is one is open type, another is closed type, another is isolated type. Okay, so these are the different kinds of types of systems we'll discuss here. So what is happening at the open system? It is the exchange of both matter and energy with the surroundings. For example, the reactant in an open test tube, it is a example of, it is an also best example of the open system. Okay, next we can say the closed system. That means the exchange of energy occurs but no matter with the surroundings. But in case of open system, we can exchange both energy as well as the matter. Okay, but in case of the closed system, we can all just exchange the energy but not the matter with the surroundings. For example, the reactant in a closed vessel. So suppose you think a reactant is present in the closed vessel, it is known as your closed system. Okay, after that the next one type is your isolated system. So what is an isolated system? You have to first remember that isolated means it is totally different from another system. Okay, that means neither the exchange of energy nor the matter with their surroundings. So it cannot, it can it doesn't have any matter as well as the energy with the surrounding with the systems. Okay, so for example, you can say the reactant in a thermoflux. Here in the thermoflux there is no exchange of heat energy or the matter with the surroundings. So this is another kind of your isolated system. Okay. So the next one is your thermodynamic process. So there are different processes of thermodynamics. So we'll discuss one by one. Okay. So what is that? The first one is your isothermal process. You have to remember that iso means your same, that means equal. Okay, thermals mean heat. Okay, that means there is no exchange of or the transfer of heat energy from system to surrounding or surrounding to system. That means we cannot say the thermal energy is get exchanged in between the system. That means the del T is zero. Here T is signifying the thermal temperature. Okay, and the del T signifies what? It is the uh, varies of or the variations of the thermal temperature. Okay, so here in the isothermal process there is no exchange of your thermal energy occurs. Okay, but in case of adiabatic system, come to the next one. What is it in the adiabatic system? Here the del Q is 0, that means no heat energy is exchanged from system to surroundings or vice versa. Okay, the next one is isobaric process. It is a thermodynamic process in which your pressure is constant. Got it? That means no uh, changes of pressure occur inside that system. Got it? After that, when we are coming to discuss about the isosteric process, here the no volume is changing. Okay, inside the system. That means whatever in the position of the system, but there is no exchange, there is no changing of volume of that system. Okay, and the another one is cyclic process. So what happens in the cyclic process? Here the internal energy is remaining constant. That means before it is when it is measured at the initial stage, and after the reaction occur it is measured also at the final stage, and we have seen that there is no changing of internal energy inside the system occur. So when that is we can find it, that means del u is 0, then we can say it is a cyclic process. The next one is reversible process. What happens in the reversible process? Actually in the it is a process in which it is proceed infinitely slowly by a series of equilibrium steps. So you can observe that in the reversible process what happening, actually the process is very slow and the reactant is converted into the product, as well as uh, what happening, as well as the product are also getting converted, okay, reconverted into the product are reconverted into the your reactant, okay. So it is a in the reversible process we cannot say the forward reaction occurs, or we cannot say backward reaction because it is we cannot predict that thing. That means we can say the reaction are going that means the backward and forward reaction are going simultaneously, okay. So this is your the reversible process, okay. Another one is irreversible process. So what happening at the irreversible process? It is just opposite of the reversible process, and here the process which proceed rapidly and the system doesn't have any chance to achieve the equilibrium. So the process in case of the reversible process it is very slowly, the rate of reaction is very slow, but in case of we can say in the irreversible reaction the rate of reaction is very fast and the reactant is directly and very fastly converted into the product, okay, without any delay. So the system does not get the chance to create an equilibrium stage, okay. So this is a kind of irreversible process. It is also in another type of your process of the thermal process, okay, thermodynamical process. So next one is we can next one discuss about the extensive property. So what is an extensive property? So those property which depends upon the quality or the size of matter that is present in the system. That means we can say the property which depends on the quantity of the matter, okay, or the size of the matter. It is very important keywords to remember about the extensive property, because these keywords helps to analyze or helps to inculcated, has to region your rememorize, okay, about the extensive property and its examples also. So what happens actually when we are saying about the property which is only depends upon the quantity of matter or the size of matter, that means when we are discussing about mass, okay. So you just you imagine that when there is a less mass, so the extensive property also very less, okay. When there is a large big mass of matter is present, so here extensive property also big, okay. So the property very much depending upon the quantity of matter, so it is known as extensive means some external appearance, external things, okay. So it is known as your extensive. So what are the examples are there? The example is mass. When the mass increases, extensive property also increases. Volume also like that. Internal energy also like that. And after that, enthalpy you can say heat capacity, you can say work. So greater the volume of the or greater the mass, greater will be the work. Okay, now comes to the intensive property. So what is an intensive property? So the property which do not depend upon the quantity of the matter or the size of the matter, okay, present in the system. For example, the temperature. So higher the quantity, but it does not change the temperature, okay. So, suppose I am saying 1 kg of your some matter, okay, the temperature is suppose 35 degrees Celsius. So when I take 2 kg of that substance, it is also the temperature will be remaining same, okay, whether I will until I have not given some external energy to it, okay, the temperature will remaining same. Likewise the density also. So the density also does not depend on the quantity of the matter, okay. Likewise pressure also, and surface tension, viscosity, refracting index, boiling point or melting point, etc. So these are these properties which does not depend on the quantity of the matter, whether the quantity is greater or the lesser. the intensive properties must be your constant. Okay. So after that, the state function. So what is the state function? The variable of the function whose value depend only on the state of the system, not on the path of the system. Okay, that means it is only dependent on the state, from which state to another state it is changing, but does not depend on the path. Okay, so this is known as your state function. Similar like the pressure, volume, temperature, enthalpy, free energy, these are the state function. Then I come to the next, the internal energy. So what is internal energy? So this is a very simple one. It is the sum total of all energy present inside that system. Okay. So there are some different kinds of energy are possessed by the system. So you can say the sum total of all kinds of energy is the internal energy. So now come to the first law of thermodynamics. So what is the first law of thermodynamics? That is the energy of an isolated system is constant. Okay, you have to remember this. The energy of an isolated system is constant. That means you can say in the mathematical term, that means the del u. Okay, that equals to q plus w. Okay, here q is the heat and w is the work. So we can say the total internal energy we can calculate by those two things. We can say how much heat is released. Okay, and another one is how much work done on the system. Okay, so this is the sum total of internal energy. Okay, and when we adding these two kinds of quantity, we can found that it is equals to the internal energy. Okay, so it is the first law of thermodynamics. It is generally signifies that energy cannot be created, cannot be destroyed. Okay, so here w, when the work is positive. Okay, when the work is positive, always if the work done is on the system. Okay, you have to remember some key terms also. Okay, when the work done on the system, it is positive. Got it? When the work done is by the system, it is negative. Okay, similarly, when we'll discussing about the q, that means the heat energy, when it is positive. Now when heat is absorbed by the system, when heat is absorbed by the system, it is positive. And when heat is evolved from the system, okay, this is known as your negative. Okay, so this is some key terms in order to find out the value of internal energy. Okay, from that expression. Okay, this is the main important expression, we can remember it for our next competitive examination. We can say heat a work of expansion or compression. So it is the expression you have to remember. What is the expression is? It is the w equal to, okay, w equal to, we can say minus p or negative of p bracketed in volume final minus volume initial. Okay, and work done in an isothermal, a reversible expansion of an ideal gas. So when we are trying to say about the isothermal reversible expansion of a ideal gas, like here you can observe that the expression is w, that means work done, which in a reversible process, that means minus 2.303 rt. Okay, n rt log v final minus v initial. Okay, or we can say minus 2.303 nrt log pi, that means the pressure of initial divided by the pressure of final. Okay, this is the important key terms you have to remember. And the another one is the significance of del u and del h when the del h equals to q p. Okay, and when the del u is equals to qb. So these are the different very important key terms you have to remember in order to crack the different kinds of competitive examinations. Okay, so I can say heat capacity. What is heat capacity? Now the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a system by 1 degree or to 1 Kelvin. Okay, so when we are saying the heat is required to raise the temperature of a system to 1 degree Celsius, it is we can say it is the heat capacity of that system. And what is the specific heat capacity? Now it is generally we can say the amount of heat required to raise the temperature, okay, temperature of 1 gram of substance by 1 degree Celsius. Okay, but here in one another term is added, that means 1 gram of substance, we can say it is a specific heat. Okay, specific heat. Okay, and generally the heat capacity is what? It is the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of a system to 1 degree Celsius. Okay, but here we can say 1 gram of substance. This is the basic difference. Okay, this is the idea. After that, the molar heat concentration, what is that? What is the molar heat concentration? Now it is the amount of heat required to raise the 1 mole of substance to 1 degree Celsius. Okay, when it is molar heat capacity, it is 1 mole of substance. Okay, to when we are it is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 mole of substance to the 1 degree Celsius. We can say it is the molar heat capacity and the standard state of the substance. So what is the standard state of the substance? The standard state of the substance is a specific temperature is its pure form, that is at 1 bar. So this is the general idea about the standard state of the substance. This is the general temperature at which the substance is present in that form, that is known as a standard state. Then or the standard enthalpy formation. So what is that? The enthalpy change accompanying the formation of 1 mole of substance from its constituent elements under the standard condition of temperature, that means normally that means 298 degree Kelvin, and pressure is 1 bar. Okay, so we can say standard enthalpy formation. It is a condition, okay, when the temperature is normally 290 Kelvin and the pressure is 1 bar. Okay, that state is, we can say, the standard enthalpy formation. And here the formation of 1 mole of substance from its constituent elements. Okay, so when 1 mole of substance is formed from its constituent element at 298 Kelvin and your 1 bar pressure, we can say it is the standard enthalpy formation. Okay, got it? After that, standard enthalpy combustion, very simpler thing. It is also the enthalpy change accompanying to complete the combustion of 1 molecule of substance. Very simple. Here we can say enthalpy formation. Here 1 mole substance is formed at its constituent elements at that standard condition. Okay, that means 298 Kelvin and 1 bar pressure. But in case of standard enthalpy combustion, what is happening? Now here it is a change complete combustion of 1 molecule of 1 mole of substance under that standard condition, that means 298 Kelvin and 1 bar pressure. Next one, the Hess law of constant heat summation. So what is that? Now the total enthalpy change of a reaction remains same whether it takes place in one step or in several steps. So what is happening at the Hess law? Hess, as the scientist, says that the enthalpy change of a reaction remains same whether it takes place in directly one step or in several steps also. Okay, this is the general idea. I can say, suppose you think this is a product, your reactant A, and you can say it is a product. So Hess says that when the enthalpy does not depends on the path, does not depend on the path. Okay, it depends on the state of matter. Okay, it depends on state. He says that A directly converted into B, or the enthalpy of A is converted into the B, okay, directly, or it can convert it into the some similar smaller steps or several steps from A to C, then A to D, then D to B. Okay, but he says that the enthalpy changing in these several steps are equals to the direct step. Okay, so this is the basic idea of Hess law. I am not gonna describe all these things. Okay, this is the general revision classes. Next on the bond dissociation enthalpy. So what is bond dissociation enthalpy? So the enthalpy change when 1 mole of a gaseous covalent bond is broken to form the product in the gas phase. Okay, we can say here we can show the example that the chlorine gas. Okay, the chlorine gas, that means it is a two it is a 2 atoms of chlorine gas. So when it is the bond is dissociated between the 2 chlorine gases, the enthalpy change, that means the del node is equal to how much? 242 degree 242 Kelvin per mole. Okay, so this is the enthalpy change, and this amount of energy is your released sometimes, or this amount of energy is required to break the bond. Okay, this is known as bond dissociation energy. So the amount of energy is required to break the or the dissociate a bond, okay, of an molecule, of an atom, of a compound, okay, sorry, not atom, of a compound. You can say it is a bond dissociation enthalpy. Okay. So generally the diatomic gaseous molecule, the bond enthalpy and bond dissociation enthalpy and the atomization enthalpy is very much equally, okay. But we can say in the polyatomic molecule the bond enthalpy is equals to the average bond dissociation enthalpy of a bond of the same type, okay. So when we are saying about the spontaneous reaction, what is that? Very simple thing. A reaction is said to be spontaneous when it takes place either of its own or some initiation. Okay. So we can say the reaction is spontaneous when it is occurring simultaneously without any external factor. Okay. After that the entropy, it is a very simple thing. Entropy is the hazardness of the system, got it. Entropy is the degree of randomness, we can say degree of randomness or disorderness of a system. So how much so you can say the greater the disorderness, greater will be the entropy, lesser the disorderness of a system, lesser will be the entropy. Okay, very simpler thing. Let's get have a look on the mathematical expression of the entropy. What is that? The del S, it is represented as S, and when saying the changing of entropy, that means del S in the system is equals to Q, that means the heat in the reversible reactions divided by del T, change of temperature. Okay, so this is the general expression, general idea of the entropy. Okay, you have to remember the things. Very simple, very simple, not a big issue. We can say it is not a big issue. Okay. So the unit of entropy, what is the unit of entropy? Very simpler thing. The unit of entropy is joule, because the heat is heat is we can say we are assuming the heat or enthalpy, okay. So its unit is joule per Kelvin. Okay, after that the temperature is here, so it is per mole. Okay, so you can say the entropy it is joule per Kelvin per mole. Okay, very simple thing you have to remember. Okay, so after that we can assuming the second law of thermodynamics. So what is that? The second law of thermodynamics is a very simple thing. Okay, so what is that? The second law of thermodynamics says that the for all spontaneous process, del S total is equal to del S of the system and del S of the surrounding. Okay, and which is also greater than 0. After that the Gibbs-Helmholtz equations. So Gibbs-Helmholtz equation is a very simple thing. We'll discuss it in the later class. Okay, till then keep watching. Thank you. So here sorry boys, I have just missed something, and that is the Gibbs-Helmholtz. It is the last one. Some basic points I will discuss. When you were discussing about the Gibbs-Helmholtz equations, it is del G equals to del S minus T del S. Okay, this is the mathematical expression where del G is positive, or when del G is positive the process will be non-spontaneous. When del G will be negative, it is the spontaneous process. And when del G is 0, you can see the process in equilibrium. Okay, this is the general 3 conditions. It is very important for your paper point of view. After that is the relation between the Gibbs free energy and the change in equilibrium constant. So what is that? The del G naught equals to 2.303 RT log Kc. Okay, this is a very important it is a very important expression for your paper point of view. And next one is the third law of thermodynamics. What is that? The entropy of a perfectly crystalline solid at about 0 is taken to be 0. So we can say the entropy of a perfect crystalline solid. Okay, this crystalline solid which is perfectly your crystalline in nature, and when it's placed at 0 degree 0 Kelvin. Okay, so here the entropy will be entropy will be pura low. Okay, so that means very low, that means equals to 0. Okay, we can say the entropy of the perfectly crystalline solid is taken to be 0. Okay, so this is for today. We will discuss on the next topic on the another video. Okay, till then keep watching and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, thank you.